on the lives of the girl child. Now, education of the girl child have begun to receive the proper attention which it deserves, and we'll be discussing the impact of boarding school and day school on the lives of the girl child. In my right, I have my colleague, the elegant, beautiful, outspoken, on-air personality, J to the O to the Y, Joy Chima. Welcome to One to Woman, Joy.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you for having me.
Okay, you're welcome. Chima, Joy, did you go to a boarding school or a day school?
No, I've always been a day student.
Okay.
All my life. I never attended any boarding school. It was always day.
And did it have any impact whatsoever?
Well, I would say that pretty much.
Discuss boarding school and day school. So let's go with safety first.
Safety. As regards safety, the girl child is first of all a very delicate individual when it comes to the issue of safety, and her on the way, mishaps, kidnapped, being raped. I think the boarding school kind of shields you. The boarding school gives you that shield, actually, keeps you away from, depending on your environment where you find yourself. If you're living in an area where you have to pass through,
Kidnapped in the house or on the way. What about the Chibok girls that were kidnapped right from school? And so many of them like that, So I think safety is relative. We just put our safety in the hands of God right now, because wherever you are, however you do it, you don't know what is happening.
factors being
Equal,
yes.
because there the place is intact. There is no abuse. The chances of abuse from or to be
External
from
forces
is limited. Yes, I think I'll choose the boarding school as a safer place for a child.
Okay.
School, because here all of you are enclosed,
Yeah.
from lecture
Very
to the
true.
dining hall, back to your hostels and your recess time and all of that. If I for instance wanted to happening, I don't even know what to do. This senior is asking me to come join them or in their cult, or but if it was a boarding house, there's no such room for the child to go seek help from external people.
But
I think cultism is more concentrated when it's a boarding house. Can always run home at the end of every day, gives them a some kind of sense of security from that senior. At least for the next few hours, I can avoid him or her until the next day in school again. But you can always run to your form teachers, but I don't think it's the same thing.
Road and tell you, go and give Joy her clothes. She's like that. So, but not all of them are like that. If you're lucky to have such a form mistress, you can tell her anything. In short, most of the time she senses these things before we even come to tell her. So, but in the absence or in the you notice that this girl, even when she starts responding to you, you will know that this girl is mixing up with the wrong breed. But nobody sees those things in the boarding school. So I think the chances of having cultism is higher in the boarding school, because even your
What's the impact they leave on the girl child?
Cultism generally just will derail you from purpose, from destiny, and before you know it, because you're mixing up with the wrong crowd, you begin to imbibe the wrong habits. So cultism, if not checked, can corrupt good manners, good character. I've seen some people, some young girls back in my university who came from very good homes, very good backgrounds, and because they came.
cultism has a way of removing this gentility from you.
Yeah.
You become a bully.
A bully.
Yes, you just become a bully. You feel that anything goes for you. So when you step into a place, that feminism that is supposed to be in you just disappears. You just is damaging. It's damaging for the girl child.
Yeah,
and what is womanhood without that gentility?
Gentility, exactly.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Well, we're discussing schools, and there is no way we'll discuss a school without the intellect.
And there's another school that is strictly boarding. So I want to look at it from the angle of the kind of students they produce. For me, I think the boarders do better in school in most cases, because you have all the time. When I was a refreshed and you read, actually, because there are rules and regulations that force you to read no matter the kind of person that you are, and in the long run you do better. In the night they send you for a prep session again, so by the time you go through these sessions you're doing the cooking. Some of them act as the mothers in the house, but when you're in the boarding school it's just you and you alone.
Ma, as a day student, you went no, you went to a day school and you're sitting here, you're
with, of course, the help, understanding of parents or guardians that are involved. You need to know that he or she is a student now. They still need their rest. You know, do your homework, a little bit of TV, then go to sleep so that you wake up early, strong enough to do a few chores before
the night prep, afternoon prep, the siesta, but they still don't do well. Yeah, so I think
sometimes it can be relative too.
Yes, I think it depends on the students.
You know, but we won't take it away from the boarding school. They do give you that opportunity.
Yeah, okay.
They do
even better, you know,
it's a time when we can discover talent, of course. Like they said, catch them young. So when it comes to talent discovery, which of the schools do you think we're going to give it to? Talent discovery, a border or a day school?
And I was always involved in events planning every Friday. In my secondary school, we put up mini events every Friday, even though we were boarders. We were day students. We did that once school is over by 1 on Fridays, then it's 50-50.
Okay. Joy, do you think it's 50-50?
Well, I don't think it's 50-50. I would give it to the boarding schools 70 and
day schools
30.
Okay.
Because we could give 1 week as inter-club week and we do activities, and then there's another week that is a social week for the school. So, you know, and most of the times we just do in the nights, we just come around together, all of us are together, we're doing 1 or 2, especially after the exams. I depends on the school. There are schools that, like she mentioned, there are prestigious schools that gives you that platform, but it's not always very common in day schools. It's not always very common. Most times it's
stuff and go home. We do it and we still have time, you know, to make it thrive, you know. We have time
to work on it.
But day students don't have this
like
time.
Some of the day students we had in school, then once school is over they go. They don't take part in these things.
They go back
to put up her hair, her mannerisms, how she talks in public, you know, the values she will adopt, boarding school or not. At the end of the day, you know, it's just that we know that if it's a boarding school, it can impact in this way. If it's a day school, it can also impact in the other.
Social relationship of the girl child. How do you think boarding school, day school affects the social relationship of the girl child?
As per being an introvert, extrovert,
yeah.
You mean moral wise?
No, extrovert.
Okay. You know, who likes to just strike up friendships,
yes,
you know, and just likes to strike up conversations.
You can come in quiet and leave the noisiest person in the room.
Exactly.
Because then I used to know a lot of very quiet girls in JSS1, you know, they don't talk, they're very quiet.
Yes, camaraderie, closeness, you know, which can also be dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Negatively dangerous.
Because any evil that they are doing together.
Yeah.
They can kill and bury somebody on their own.
And no one
will know.
And if they are excelling, they are, you know, expressing themselves, you know, making friends and just generally socializing, being expressive, you would want to.
And you are always with them. But in the day school, you might just say, okay, let me manage and learn. At the end of the day, you go back home and meet the same.
She's a strong individual. She has very strong character. You know, I think boarding school will give her a better sense of independence. In my opinion, I wonder if I would have been this independent or more independent if I were a boarder. You know,
yeah, definitely going to keep having her here. In fact, she's one of us.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Emerald Chinomso Jane says, in terms of discipline, the boarding school trains the girl child to be more disciplined than the day school. This is
because most boarding schools, they just give you this food that is mass produced, not necessarily concentrated with the right amount of nutrients, that you need enough as a growing child to grow well and healthy and stay properly nourished. Yeah, most of the time when they come,
Mama's
Exactly,
cooking.
definitely.
I remember those days. We'll go to eat and we'll take extra oil, we'll take extra spices, which was very dangerous to our health, but we did not know at that time.
Soaked noodles.
So and when you see the kitchen,
We need to debate.
I'm
it.
giving it to you.
There,
Carry.
there's no debate about it when it comes to nutritional value. The day students have it.
eating soaked noodle with
it's
spice.
serious. I think it's terrible. I think school authorities, because most apart from the government schools, most boarding schools that are privately owned.
Things, there are types of foods that you could eat in your houses. We had things like okra soup, egusi soup, and they weren't that bad. But you can't compare it with back home. But in some schools there was the water.
Okay.
What you have at home, so I believe we can do better.
We can.
We can do
We
better.
should. And we will.
Amen. Okay, let me keep on reading the comments. Amaka Okagu says, Ada, my queen.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
You have a fan somewhere.
Yes, I have a fan.
Once in a how often is that?
Once in a
Visiting
month.
this
Okay,
once in a
it's
month.
Once in a month. Can you imagine? You only get to see your child once in a month, see them physically, talk to them, interact with them. Are you all even allowed to take phone calls?
No, we don't
It's
take
illegal.
phones.
I think
We were
No,
call center. You just go there and pay her. That was how we were doing it. And then if your parents establish a good relationship with your house mistress can always call her
messages.
and tell her that, oh, I would like to speak to her. The house mistress will come. Even if the child stays in the house, there are children that
They
stay in
still
the
won't
house.
have
They
time.
still
Still
won't
not
have time
bond.
for them. So if you're very intentional about developing your relationship with your child, you don't need all the time. 3 weeks is the new 10. There's nothing you can do as a mother, or
even if
the
she
kind
goes
of
to a day school.
exactly, because from the teenage age, teenagers have this defiant attitude. They always repel. They don't want you to
They don't
see
want
them
authority.
as they go off to the boarding schools, because at that age, even if they are home, you won't even they might not give you that space. So the work is done before they leave, and during holidays and midterm breaks you have all the time.
Well, you're right. But then like all that time.
It's
with
just
them.
6 years in boarding school, and highest
I
3
know.
years, just 1 to just 3. From SS1 to SS3, I'm just saying that you have all the time before they go away to secondary school, because a little girl can run up to you and tell you, my back is paining me, he touched my back. But that 12-year-old will not tell you, he touched my back. You even see her smiling. So I now had to bring them closer to start that mentor. Tell me, if you build that age well, whether she's in boarding school, she's going up with those values. If it happens, she will call you. If she cannot call you, she will write it down, So you have all the time to, because the world that we've entered, a lot of moms are busy.
Want to
So
say
the
right
mother, if you want a relationship with your child, you need to start building it early
before you send them to boarding school.
before you send them to boarding school.
And of course, we have breaks in
And
between,
those
so you can.
observations are very important. You need to know. You were speaking to us earlier. You need to know if this particular child,
Important, even if it's from
even if it
it's
was
SS1.
one,
yes,
yeah.
even if it's for 2 years.
Yes.
I think every child should experience that part of growing up for 1 or 2 years, and then if you want them to go through with it, you would know. But then it would have also.
Basic life skills, how to be independent. They learn how to balance a lot of activities in boarding school. Children living away from home learn the basics of time management. Boarding school develops the total. Would he still be alive? Now, what do you think?
Yes, it's like we said earlier.
We
This
gave
thing,
it
we
to
gave it to the
boarding school.
When we hire
it's
courses
more
in
concentrated.
Yeah.
Because if he was at home, his mother would have noticed that he was macheting
And he was being bullied.
or he was afraid. If he has a very sensitive mom, why they go and check up, how are you doing? And then they witness that kind of situation, and that was how they were pulled out of school. So I think there is a closer level of monitoring
In boarding.
with the day
With
With the
students
daycare students.
than
Than
the
boarding.
border. So if Sylvester,
Peer pressure.
We can see peer pressure. Again, it comes down to, it comes down to availability. It comes down to, concentration of, how girls that you associate,
they can
you
advise
mingle
you.
with. If you get the wrong
Advice.
if you get the wrong advice from them, things can start to go wrong.
And some of them are coming from very bad homes, to say.
Orientation.
So they're
Sneaked off to a pool party, and one of them drowned, and there was supposed to be borders and all of that, So I think peer pressure and puberty is a very delicate matter, and is usually more, I think, in my opinion, negative-sided in the boarding school.
people that were called the church workers, and you could see all of them when they just come together. It's always, the same way. It's very easy to carry cultism to another level. It's also very easy to take church to another level. They were always working together, going out together. I think for puberty is way achieving a good help in puberty is better in the day schools.
Yeah, exactly.
Like she said,
because you have your mom there
yes,
to advise and guide you through
exactly.
puberty. Okay.
But then in the daycare schools, there would be lesser room for such bad experiments.
True.
Because I want to believe we're talking experimenting right now.
Yes.
There will be lesser room, lesser opportunity, to go experiment. Would thrive more in a boarding school, if you ask me, because the day students, there will really not be opportunity or time to sneak off somewhere. I mean, it's just you and your 30 minutes to go on break, and you're back to the classroom, and afterwards your mom and dad, they are picking you up.
Is an advantage. Some of them sneak off from school, scale the fence and go to places and return. You can't begin to imagine. But you can't scale the fence in your house unless you're a notorious criminal.
And then some group of girls, I saw this video that
And you will not have
You will not have time to think of immorality.
but they only had such opportunity to gather to make that bad video because they were all in the same dormitory.
space.
Yeah.
So let's give it to the borders.
Okay, the brothers have it for immorality.
Wow.
The
But
brothers have.
this is not what I came here for. This is who I am. This is the life I want ahead of me. This is the future that I am working towards. And I'll always respectfully reject their offer. But that doesn't mean I will no longer be friends or say hi when I see them the next.
An advice to the girl child in the secondary school level. But I don't have to do that anymore. You've already done it. So Joy, do you have anything to say to the girl child in the secondary school level?
Well, like I always tell the ones around me, anything you want to do now, you have all the time. You want to do nobody can tell you. That's why you need to also study. Ask your parents questions. When I say know the bad, ask your parents the good, the bad, and the ugly. They will tell you from the point of love. But you can ask your friend and they tell you from the point of foolishness.
Shout out to one woman out there.
Ooh. Just one. I know so many amazing women.
No, it's one for today.
But I'll give it to my lady Enene Fone. She's been like a rock.
Women out there who have contributed to education of the girl child. Shout out to Catherine Obianoju. Shout out to Funke Abimbola. Shout out to Folawe Ominkule. Shout out to all the people who are